I can still remember what it was like the first time I stepped into a race car. The sound of the engine, the anticipation, but I never could have imagined where this journey would take me. My father once told me that racing is just like life. You have to stay on your toes, because you never know what's around the next corner. My name is Bill Watson, and this is my story.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
From Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, it's the Global SimRacing Channel's final round coverage of the Batteries Not Included 2019 Spring Season Championship. After 11 eventful rounds, the B&I crown is still up for grabs, contested by Germany's Thomas Seeger, Spain's Xavier Ross, and Italy's Marco Sanfilippo. We'll drill down on the specifics of that points race in a bit. For now, settle in and get comfortable, because all the excitement of the simulated FW31 action, from green flag to victory donuts, will stream your way live as it happens right here on the iRacing Esports Network. When the aroma of Belgian chocolates mixes with the smell of engine exhaust, chances are you're at Spa, and indeed, that is the case for yours truly, Bill Soupçon, and my boothmate Stefan Slocker, as we sit high in the press box, ready to bring you our bird's eye view. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, armed with cameras, locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Stefan, Spa really doesn't have many different configurations when it comes to racing. However, when it comes to pit lane entrance and exit and the starting line and the finish line, well, it's a potpourri of options. Help me and the viewers out by telling us, where do the drivers start, where do they finish, and how do they pit?
Well, first of all, bonjour et bienvenue to beautiful Spa-Francorchamps. The pit line for today is quite basic. So what you see on TV for Formula 1 is what you also get here today. Namely, the Grand Prix pits configuration with the start and finish stripe right out of the last chicane. And GP is in Mugello and clocked a new world record speed of 356.7 kilometers an hour or 221.64 miles per hour. F1 cars reach a mere 319.6 kilometers an hour or 198 miles per hour here in Spa-Francorchamps. It will be interesting to see how close these cars can get to the 2009 track record of 144.503. 19 turns are located around these 7,004 meters of racetrack. What you really can't see on this overlay, though, is the height difference, a whopping 100 meters. To better showcase you that and the challenges Zikri Spa-Francorchamps has to offer, we will now send you trackside with our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Clayton McLeod in the GSRC Williams, so let's do a lap around Spa. Coming down to La Source, this is usually a great place to pass, but when you come to it on the first lap, you really need your head on a swivel. It's so easy to clatter into another car and end your race before you even get through the first turn. From there, you'll plunge downhill into Eau Rouge. It's easily flat out in the Williams, but it'll be very important to try to scrub off as little speed as possible. Off the top of Radillon, you now fly down the Kemmel Straight. If you can withstand the dirty air, being within the draft of the car ahead will give you a great opportunity to go on the attack. The big issue is with the added speed, you need to make sure not to outbrake yourself into Lecumbe. With the track switching back, it's possible to see successful passes from either side. From there, you come to Malmedy, which needs a little lift to make it through. Then it's back downhill towards Rivage. There might be opportunistic passes that happen here, but the toughest aspect of this corner is its off-camber nature. Cars will want to understeer badly. Immediately, you're thrown into no name and the valley opens up before you. You've got no time to take in the sights because up next is Pouan. The incredible downforce of a modern F1 car means you're only lifting in the first half and then powering off the second part of the corner. Be careful not to straddle the curbs on the exit, and finally you're at the bottom of the hill. That brings us to Fagnes, where there is occasional passes, but it's tough to make it work. Switch sides again, and then you've got Stavelot. The first part of this turn is what matters because you don't lift until the second half. Getting a good run can make a huge difference in your lap or whether you can attack or defend on the car you're battling with. You're flat to the floor and straightening out the track along the backstretch, which eventually comes to Blanchimont. Stay in it and trust the downforce that comes with 190 mph speeds. Then slam on the brakes for the bus stop. The main thing you don't want to do here is crawl on top of those big red sausage curbs because they'll really upset the car. From off there, try to avoid wheel spin, and as you run towards the line, you've now hopefully finished a lap around Spa.
Never get tired taking a lap around this place. Joe Peak doing what he does so well. All right, let me give you an update on the points. GSRC is dedicated to the viewers to understanding the points race as clear as possible. That's why we're showing you two different versions. Understand that while this is a 12-race season, drivers only get to keep 8 results. So when we look at it, we can look at it in two different ways. When we look at it viewed only considering the best 8 results, Marco Sanfilippo, which you see right now, sits on top with a 15-point lead over Thomas Seeger and a 23-point lead over Xavi Ross. But when GSRC, when we go the other way, we think this perspective gives a false view of how it really works. When we take a look at the point standings, when we consider forcing all the drivers to drop their four worst scores. Look how it changes. Xavi Ross, who was in third, is now at the top of your chart. Marco Sanfilippo in second, not in first. Thomas Seeger in third, not in second. Why the difference? Well, the answer is easy to see. Look at the number by the droplet for each driver. That number is each driver's largest unscored result, what I like to call pocket points. You see that Ross was not able to count a 42-point result. Marco Sanfilippo, however, had to suffer not counting a 90-point result, and poor Thomas Seeger is pained to miss out on 129 points that he scored that will not count towards his championship race. We think that Xavi is in the best position to win the championship, but Marco is right there, and the math still works for Seeger, although he's going to need some misfortune to find the drivers he is chasing. All right, forgive me if I took you a little too far into the weeds for that one, but being the final round at GSRC, we think it makes for a better broadcast if you, the viewers, really have an in-depth understanding of how the championship is playing out. Something much less weedy is the race details. Steph?
Well, today, our last round of the season, round 12 of the official iRacing Grand Prix Series schedule. Today's race, 29 laps or 126 miles in length. One pit stop, as always, is required. We think that they can go about 70 miles, maybe 80 miles on one fuel tank. Setups completely open, incident cap, standard for iRacing, 17 incident points, and for the BNI Championship. And they use the official iRacing points you would also get while participating in the iRacing Grand Prix Series.
The best of the best in the iRacing World Championship, as well as many of the top private leagues like the one you're watching right now, are showcased right here on the iRacing Esports Network. If you haven't done so yet, make sure that you subscribe. GSRC is proud to be part of the IESN stable of broadcasters. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather. Unlike what it's usually like here in Belgium, it's nice and clear today. What do you think, Steph?
It's super hot, 101 degree Fahrenheit on the track, 65 in the air, but especially because we have that clear sky, it's super hot on the track. The winds, that's east 8 to, quite variable, from 8 to 4 miles per hour. If you want to know where that wind is coming from, that wind is blowing from Blanchimont down into Courve Paul Ferrer. So sadly, no backwind or front wind into Lake Coombe. Your humidity 56%, so that also shouldn't be any problem regarding rain.
Clear sky at Spa. That's a rarity. Yeah, we're looking at Eugenio Massa trying to put in a time. Certainly is well down the order in 15th. We have a nice field here today, 20 drivers, which includes Mark Usher is back. He's already sitting on the pole. Steph Usher's undefeated so far this season, but he hasn't raced in enough races to be in the championship.
Yeah, undefeated, and once again he's up by about half a tenth right now over Carlos Fenolosa. And Marcus and Philippe is sitting in third place. And one thing we have to mention, it's quite a long run down into turn 1. In total, it's, where is it there? 889 feet from your first position on the grid down into the turn 1. So Mark Usher might be sitting on the right side, so on the short side into turn 1, but it's not that he can't be attacked into turn 1, especially with a bad start.
There's Mark Aschenheimer working his way around. "18 drivers put in qualifying times out of the 20. Michel Uzel and Jan Stendenpool did not. Qualifying is done. Let's go to the grid. I'll take the top half. On the pole, it is indeed Mark Usher. He's going to be flanked by Carlos Fenolosa. Marco Sanfilippo's inside of row 2 with Thomas Seeger to his outside. Spots 5 and 6 are Thomas Noel, always exciting to watch, and Scott Newton, the Aussie, is back with us today. Xavi Ross, what we consider your points leader, down in 7th with Antonio Pavetta, who already has a couple of wins. Marco's brother, Danilo Sanfilippo, in 9th inside of I Am Keeman. Steph?
A little bit of a funny grid position there with 9th through 13th are in 9th through 13th. The 11th car of Larsan sitting in 11th. David Cutmore the 12th on the 12th. Esteverson Oliveira the 13th in 13th. And then the 15 sits in 14th. That's Mark Assenheimer. And the 14 of Eugenio Massa sitting in 15th. So those two just switch positions. Cleo Botarumura 16th, Alan Stover 17th, Dennis Ostertag 18th, Michel Uzel and Jan Selpool not putting in any lap times in 19th and 20th.
All right, glad that you're with us. This is our final round in the 2019 Spring Season Championship, and it has been a good one with many different winners and an interesting points race. All 3 drivers that we talked about in that points race are here today with us. The best qualifier of them is Marco Sanfilippo, who sits in 3rd. Row 2, very important, with Thomas Seeger in there as well. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. You know what to do. I'll step away from the mic. Gather up your chickens, take cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn. They head down into the source. It is Mark Usher first in there, now the Stampede working their way around the hairpin. They go 2 and 3 wide, but so far everybody gets through. 20 drivers safely working their way up to Orange.
Seeger with a very bad start, launch of turn 1. There's a little bit of a side-by-side contact between Poveda and Thomas Snow, but that sorts out also Mark Assenheimer with a good start himself. He just went 3 wide. Now attacking Thomas Seeger. Thomas Seeger going to defense. That is the first battle down in the line, but Thomas Seeger able to retain his, I think that's 6th, 7th position.
Fast driver Antonio Poveda. Looks like he had to serve a slowdown penalty as he had to go off at Eau Rouge. That was really costly when you get those early. He has fallen back into 15th position. We'll keep an eye on him. Certainly he will work his way through the field. Up front, it is Mark Usher doing what he does. He is not only leading, he is crushing the field. Cooking with hot fish grease is Mark Usher. 2 seconds up on Marco Sanfilippo, who is under attack right now from Xavi Ross.
Xavi Ross looking dicey. He wanted to go to the outside, but Marco Sanfilippo crushed that door. Not only slammed it, he crushed it so hard it went right through the room it was closing. But yeah, Xavi Ross right now looking very dicey. I think that he can go with Mark Usher, but Mark Usher already about nearly 3 seconds up on Marco Sanfilippo, so really hammer time from him as we're used to from a lap 1.
Down into the bus stop for the first time as they complete that first lap. Big movers. You got to give Xavi Ross credit. He gridded in 7th position. He is up 4 spots already. Nice job from him as he chases Marco Sanfilippo. The other big name in our championship race is Thomas Ziegler, who has fallen. He was in 4th. He's double that as he races an 8th back there now behind I Am Keeman. They're coming at you. There you can see the blue car of Keeman there, and then Ziegler right behind him. We're right on board with Keeman, and here comes the German driver right now, going to the inside. He'll have the preferred position, as I think he's going to get this done, and he'll do him, and he does.
Yeah, great pass by Thomas Ziegler, putting himself up now to 7th position. Up ahead, Xavi Ross still making a big attack on Marco Sanfilippo, who just made a big mistake through Brussels.
Indeed, boy. Sanfilippo just shut the door on Ross. These guys are racing really close together. This is the kind of racing that Ziegler needs if we talk big picture. If these two guys were to get together, that is what the German would need. He needs a little bit of incidence from Marco and Xavi to give the math the possibility of letting him sneak in the championship. Great battle from second back as Usher drives away. Go way back to 16th position.
That is Cleo Botaro Mura there. He is defending his 16th place from Michel Uso. So Michel climbing up the ladder ever so quickly right now. Not the fastest gainer right now after 1 lap, but there he goes to the inside. Not really expected by Cleo Botaro, so he went way over the curb. Let's see, brakes later, and Michel Uso takes away that 16th place.
Gets that spot done. All this going on behind Mark Usher, who is driving away with it.
And driving away he indeed is last lap. You saw it on your screens at 148.493. Fastest lap of the race, about 4/10 faster than Marco Sanfilippo.
And here's a battle for 4th position. This is the Aussie Newton trying to defend off the pass made by Fenolosa. Carlos gets that done, move him up into 4th position as that settles down a bit. We ride on board with Fenolosa looking back at Newton as he'll try to drive away from him. As we leave this one, I want to go talk about the driver who's working his way through the field. 12th position right now, Antonio Paveda. He fell back to 15th position because of that early slowdown penalty. He'll be up on the back of Mark Cudmore. Mark Asselheimer there in a minute, and then it'll be a while before he gets to Danilo Sanfilippo. But we'll keep an eye on Paveda as he works his way through the field.
And one thing we really have to mention about Scott Newton. He didn't race this car for 10 weeks about last here in the BNI Championship. So he most definitely a little bit rusty with this car, but hey, I will take a 5th place every single time that I would say I'm rusty in a car.
He works ahead now. Good battle right behind him. This is Thomas Knoll and Thomas Ziegler, a pair of Toms going at it. As they head down into La Source, this is 6th position. Knoll, very exciting. In fact, Ziegler is kind of sandwiched between two really exciting drivers where things always seem to happen. I'm talking about Knoll and I Am Keeman especially.
On top of your screen, very quickly, you saw it. Marcus Sanfilippo is starting to match the pace of Mark Usher, who did close in by 3/10 again on him with that 47.972, which is only 2/10 away from the lap. Or sorry, it's actually 6/10 away from the fastest lap in the real-life race here in 2009 that these cars did.
You ride on board with Seeger, now back in 8th position. You know, just to follow up on that point you were making, Steph, you're absolutely right. Sanfilippo is closing in on Usher, and he's left Ross behind. You guys can watch the intervals up on that top line of the overlay there of your screen. We ride on board with the German driver still in the hunt for this championship, especially if Marco Sanfilippo and Xavier Ross happen to get together. Nice little battle for 6. He's got Noel and Seeger. It won't be long till I.M. Keeman gets in there as well. Let's go ahead and check back in on that battle in 10th position. We talked about Pavetta. Well, he already got Cudmore. It happened so quick. Now he's working on Assenheimer. Pavetta already with a couple wins this season.
And there you
Stay
can
on
see
this one as they head down. Go.
Pavetta really having much less downforce than Assenheimer. There he goes on the brakes way later. Does not make the move though. He was a little bit too far back on Assenheimer, but that move is probably done and dusted by the time we get up to LeCun.
You're right, with that straight line speed that Pavetta is able to put in that car as he comes around with Source right now. Now he'll get on the throttle, and even though the interval is literally probably 12 car lengths by the time they get down to La Source, I would think Pavetta would be able to get in.
Which is also, by the way, the longest full throttle stretch we have on this track, a whopping 1.25 miles long from turn 1, which is La Source, up to LeCun at the end of the Camel Straight, but Pavetta not able to close in whatsoever to Mark Assenheimer, which is a little bit surprising.
Assenheimer honestly must be listening to the broadcast, going to prove the commentator wrong as he gets on the gun a little bit. All right, let's go up to the 8th position. This is Keeman and Sanfilippo. These are the drivers. These are right ahead of Assenheimer. About 3.5 seconds ahead. The brother of Marco, who sits in 2nd right now. We take you through the field, give you an idea of how things are working.
Racing out of Palermo, racing on American server. This is how international they get here on iRacing. I'm Keeman racing out of Benelux. So, yeah, you're gonna get pretty much all nations together here on iRacing, against which you can race. And a quick update on the 2 guys in front. Marco. Oh, Scott.
Now Newton is closing as we look at Scott Newton. He's still racing back there in 5th position, right behind Fenalosa. Seeing if he can run him down.
Keeman lost positions though.
You're right. You know, we talked about it was Noel that we were bookending. Noel and Keeman were bookending Seeger. Where is Keeman now? Keeman is well down into 11th.
Yeah, Keeman probably because of the pressure from Danilo Sanfilippo, just a little bit too hard on the throttle out of the chicane, and he spun it a little bit, but didn't hit anything. He's now behind. That is David Cudmore. So he's down in 12th position now.
That's what Keeman does. I'm telling you, pace is not his problem. Let's go ahead and look at this battle for 10th right now with Assenheimer, Cudmore, and then Keeman, who's going to be going through here. He's the fastest car, assuming his car isn't damaged from its incident. Ahead of these guys is Pavetta, who has already worked his way through him earlier.
And here comes Keeman.
Yeah, he'll be hungry.
Tried to stick it into Path, but David Cudmore having a little bit more downforce, he was able to retain his position. Let's see what happens out of Courf Paul Ferrer. There they come now. Here comes Iron Keenan sucking himself up to the rear of David Cutmore. Goes to the inside through Blanchimont. They both go. And now they go still a little bit side by side. Iron Keenan able to get that position away though as soon as they come out of Blanchimont.
Cutmore very familiar with the way that Keenan races him. David saying to himself, yeah, you got around me, but I'll probably pass you again while you're in the grass, and you'll get me around me again later in the race. Good battle going on here for 10th.
Next up on the hit list for Iron Keenan is Mark Assenheimer. Let's see how that is.
Let's go to 6th real quick. A great run from Ziegler. I think he's got a chance to get around Noel, and he's going to get it done, so move him up into 5th position, or actually be 6th position now for Thomas Ziegler.
Yeah, one would say easy lemon squeezy there.
Yeah, indeed. He waited for the opportunity. Now he wants to try to get up to the battle with Newton and Fenalosa. We saw Fenalosa get around Newton. That's the battle for 4th. And wasn't able to drive away from Scott. He's been able to hang right with him. All right, here's the exciting part back here.
Yeah, Iron Keenan got past Assenheimer into Lecombe as projected, and now David Cutmore right under the rear wing there of Assenheimer. So maybe we will see a switch here quite soon between these two too.
Couple of very careful drivers behind Assenheimer right now. David Cutmore rarely makes a mistake, and Hung never makes a mistake back in 13th. You see those 3 cars on your screen right now. Hung the caboose. Let's see what kind of run Cutmore is there if he wants as they head down to Blanchimont. Here he comes. The defensive line from Assenheimer. Is he going to stay to track right? Oh, he's going to drift over. Pick your line. Side by side into the bus stop. That'll work.
Oh!
Whoa!
That won't work for Cutmore though, as Assenheimer goes past him now. Also, Hung has the chance to stick it into the inside. Thus not, as Cutmore tries to attack Assenheimer, locks a little bit off the brakes there. It really compromises his exit though, and look at how much he lost there out of the source.
Alright, we're going to go up front a little bit. Now Thomas Ziegler, after getting around Noel, we thought that Ziegler might get away, but Thomas Noel said none of it. And once again, the blue car is out in front. They swap positions.
And in behind, we said it and it happened. Lars Hung got past David Cutmore into Lecombe. So he is now your 12th place driver trying to chase down Mark Assenheimer.
Nice little 2-car battles sprinkled around, 2- and 3-car battles throughout the field. Want to check in on 4th position real quick. This is Scott Newton. He continues to stalk Carlos Fenalosa, and I keep waiting for Newton to get up there and make the pass, but this is not going to happen, as he's going to close in as they head towards the bus stop. Gets to within 3-car lengths. The gap to Zabi Ross, just a 2.5 seconds, so I'm not sure if Ross is falling off of Sanfilippo, who has left him behind, or if Sanfilippo is just that quick.
Seems like Sanfilippo found something in his setups which made him faster, because last lap he once again did catch up to Mark Usher by 2/10, but Mark Usher is pretty much on pace with Marcus Sanfilippo, as the gap between those two stays with around the 3-second mark. Xavi Ross 2 seconds now behind Marcus Sanfilippo, and there comes Scott Newton.
Boy, he had a great run. The defensive line from Fenalosa, there's no way he was going to let him to the inside down into Lecombe, and they will have to wait. We ride on board with the Aussie driver.
Yeah, and they are running up to Dennis Ostertag, who is the first car who is now a lap down, who is now getting a lap by Marcus Sanfilippo. So he might play a little bit of a role in the battle of these two guys.
Sanfilippo gets around, a good job from Ostertag getting out of the way. Oh my! But that's funny. They caught him in a bad spot. Dennis, what can you do? You can't make your car invisible. You had to put it somewhere. Man, they run up on the back of you. That was Xavi Ross who got there, lost a ton of time. And that's going to bring Fenolosa and Newton in the mix. We're going to get a 3-car battle here because now Fenolosa is going to be in the tow. As those 3 guys battle for third as they head down to the chicane. We will stay on that battle as that's a good one to watch. Things are settling out behind. We follow these guys along. The only real other battle out there right now is 3-car battle between Ossenheimer, Hung, and Cudmore. We'll come back and look at that one when the action slows down up here. But we've been jumping you around a lot. Let's watch these guys race. Especially since it involves Xavi Ross, who we think right now is in the best position for the championship. Third should win it for him. A 25-point gap between him and Marco Sanfilippo, and really, when you're only one position behind the guy who's chasing you, and you got that 25-point cushion, that's not enough.
Just to give you an example how much Xaviros got slowed down with the interaction of Denis Osotaki. He lost about a second on Marcus Sanfilippo alone in the last lap. So Xaviros really did not have a good interaction there. Oh, Carlos Fenolosa there on the AstroTurf, nearly losing his car. Great save, keeps the foot down even, so no time lost for him.
You know, we haven't really used a lot of replays as these guys have been behaving themselves. Let's take a quick look at this. As we ride on board, watch the hands of Carlos. Oh, nice catch. That's a nice one. Soup would have had that one in the wall, man. That's if you're not an iRacer, or you're just not up at this level, it's hard to appreciate what really happened there.
So I've just been checking the top speeds of the first 5 guys, and Mark Usher, strangely enough, is the slowest one with 186 miles per hour before braking for the chicane. Marcus Sanfilippo, 195 miles per hour down into the chicane, nearly 10 miles per hour faster than Mark Usher. So way different setups for these guys. And Xavi Ross, Carlos Fenolosa, and Scott Newton, they all 3 had about 190 miles per hour into the chicane. So yeah, different approaches to the setups, but so far Mark Usher seems to have his setup figured out the best.
There's the blue and yellow car of Thomas Knoll, who races in 6th. You know, just to follow up a little bit on Marco Sanfilippo, I think he might have had a little bit of an incident that last lap, as he's lost a little bit of time to Usher, and is now only a couple seconds ahead of Xavi Ross. So, all right, let's look back at this battle back here, farther back we've been watching. These guys are fun. This is Cudmore and Hung. Again, 2 drivers that don't make a mistake. That said, we saw Cudmore have a little bit of trouble getting the power down out of the bus stop. Ossenheimer has pulled away in 11th. We ride on board. Hung looking back. I'm sorry, with Cudmore looking back and Hung. These guys race in 13th, 12th and 13th. We don't need to go there, but Michel Uzel out there in 14th position all by himself.
And one thing I quickly want to mention, after the re-overtake of Thomas Knoll on Thomas Seeger, Thomas Knoll has been pulling away ever so slightly on Thomas Seeger. So, yeah, Seeger seeming to struggle ever so slightly with his pace. He started in 4th place and is still only in 7th place, whereas Thomas Knoll started in 5th place, now racing in 6th place. So a little bit of shuffling for both of them, but so far, so pretty much nowhere for both of them.
You see them go by. Now Knoll is in 6th, Seeger is in 7th. Let's take this opportunity to look back. See that car that just came into your screen right now? That's Danilo Sanfilippo. He's in 8th. He is all by himself. doing his best to run up to Ziegler. He's about 2 seconds behind him. He's got about 4.5 seconds back to Poveda. Ever since the early laps, he's just been out there all alone. All right. Look at Cudmore as he's gotten around Ossenheimer. This battle continues to shake up. Remember when last we were here? Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of this one, see how Cudmore got that done. Last time we checked in, Ossenheimer had a pretty comfortable lead. That's Cudmore in the middle. Go, Steph.
Everything started a little bit further down the road. It started out of the chicane where Ossenheimer had a little bit of a wiggle, which made him go out of the throttle, and that led up to this pass where David Cudmore went around the outside of Mark Ossenheimer and got that job done, moving him up into 11th place. And now Lars Hang looking very gingerly at the back of Mark Ossenheimer.
Ossenheimer's troubles are not over yet, as here comes a nice run from Hung. Now, Lars will not force the issue, but boy, he has a good run here. But I really think that Lars makes a lot of hay with a car with a lot of downforce. That's how he keeps out of trouble. Probably doesn't have the pace the straight line cars have sometimes, but if he's like me, give me a car with downforce, help me keep the car on the track, and I'll get my positions through attrition.
Yeah, one thing we have to say though, Lars Hang, it was gingerly there looking at the rear wing of Ossenheimer, because he is quite safe with his overtakes, not risking pretty much anything. One has to say, not trying to outbrake someone, but here he goes now down the straight line. Very late move out of the draft there of Ossenheimer. Look at that overspeed, already passed Ossenheimer into the Kump. Will Ossenheimer try to go back on the brakes? No, he can't. Lars Hang moving up to P12.
I'm telling you, they are just listening to the broadcast and saying, all right, Soup, I'll prove you wrong again. Nice job from Hung. So Cudmore and Hung now as Ossenheimer goes back into 13th. Let's check in on two drivers we haven't talked much about. 9th position, Poveda. He's got about 4 seconds to get up to San Filippo. Again, racing by himself. He had a good run early on. Made a mistake on La Source for that very first, through Blanchimont on very first lap. Got that slowdown penalty. That was a crusher. And then behind him, I Am Keeman, who also had issues. He's back in 10th.
It's rather no action.
Was that what it was? Thank you.
Yes.
What am I? Yeah, I pulled up it early here.
Blanchimont is the second last corner before the chicane.
Yeah.
But Antonio Ortiz Poveda, we have to say, he is 4 seconds behind Danilo Sanfilippo, but he is actually losing out to him ever so slightly. 5/10 to 3/10, 7/10. It always varies between that, but Poveda is not up to pace here today.
Just about at the halfway mark. They're working lap number 14.
We're expecting pit stops to commence soon, as mentioned in the race details, as Massa had a problem.
Oh, we got some contact, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, this is probably too far back. We're not going to have this one. We'll look at Massa.
Or, no, he's actually pitting.
Yeah. Just a pit stop. We don't need to go there, but Jan Stedenpool had a little bit of an issue. Probably too far back to catch. So there's the first of our stops. All right, we go up to 4th position, and this is Penaloza. Here comes Newton. Steph, things might start to heat up now as we get close to the pit window. Drivers like to be first down pit lane if they can.
Yeah, as said, we're expecting them to go about 70 miles in this race, so another, 3 laps, I would imagine. Maybe 4 or 5, so we're getting close to that pit window, as Jan Steltenpool is also not coming out of pit lane, but he will cycle up behind them, so he will not be any lapping problem to these guys, as Scott Newton, a little bit of a wheel there out of La Source, and losing out quite a few speed there to Carlos Vinalosa, so he won't be able to do anything. Xavier seems to be the fastest of these three guys at this point, so Carlos not able to do anything with the slipstream at the point of time. But as we said, pit stops a very, very tricky thing here, because the pit lane entry very small, very tight, very short, and same with the pit exit, very tight, very small, very slow on top of that. And with the cold tires, you might be able to see someone struggling a little bit getting that power down. Just to finish that up, pit lane delta time roughly about 26-27 seconds here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Well, if you're a fan of the undercut, we have a chance maybe to see it as Lars Hung and Mark Ossenheimer both come in. Remember, they were in a close battle with David Cudmore. Cudmore stays out. So when Cudmore does decide to come in, it'll be fun to see how he cycles out of pit lane in relationship to Hung. Lars is the leader of all the cars who've pitted so far, but he's well back in 14th spot. This is the one that's heating up a bit. Thomas Ziegler would like to get back around Thomas Knoll. Knoll in the blue car, Ziegler in the, not blue car. How about that?
Sanfilippo in the pit lane and hit the pit wall. Marcus Sanfilippo in the pit lane alongside with Xavier Ross, and Marcus Sanfilippo a bit too deep into the pit lane and actually did hit the outside wall there. As we take you on to replay for that.
Now, Usher did not pit that time through. Yeah, he just went, he bounced it off.
The interesting part here will be, does he have wing damage? No repairs for him, so very lucky outcome for Marcus Sanfilippo, because otherwise that would have been another 4-5 seconds added to his pit stop.
Let's go to David Cudmore. He is making his stop right now. So this is our opportunity as we want to see how this plays out. Let's look for Hung. Hung just going down into the bus stop. Cudmore is in his box. Hung is out of the bus stop.
Over the DRS line he goes.
Cudmore rolling.
And Cudmore will have obviously a shorter line, but a lot of speed deficit to the guys behind him, but I think he might be able to retain his position up to Lecombe.
He does indeed. The car between them is Kiber Mora, who is not in the mix. Actually, he is. Is that for position? Yeah, I guess it would be. Well, that's because he hasn't made his stop yet. That's
exactly.
why. Okay. So, despite the problems from Marco Sanfilippo, he is the leader of all the cars who've pitted. Our leader is in now.
Exactly. Speaking of the leader, Mark Usher into pit lane. He goes alongside with Carlos Vinalosa. Scott Newton will pit 2, and that probably means that Thomas Ziegler does not come into pit lane and takes over the lead from Mark Usher.
All right, Ziegler gonna get credit with leading some laps. Also staying out is Pavetta. Usher's going to roll him, my goodness. He's going to cycle out in what I think is going to be third position. Oh, my.
Very close in behind there between Carlos Vinalosa and Scott Newton. Rear wing to front wing, and there also comes Xavier Ross, and Xavier Ross might take it quite into Eau Rouge. Yes, he does. On the inside. Takes the position away even before reaching Radillon, so great move by him, but now here comes Carlos Vinalosa.
Here he comes. Ross does not protect the inside, and also a nice bit of run back there from Newton in the mix. Boy, they came out a lot closer after the pit stop than they did before the pit stop. Ross had a comfortable lead. Vinalosa and now Newton. This is a good battle for what will be, I think, third when this all settles down, right? Am I counting the numbers there? Will it be third?
And Carlos Vinalosa and Scott Newton proving once again what I say in nearly every single race: the overcut is more important than the undercut. You're not going to do anything with an undercut because the guys that you're gonna undercut will have lighter fuel. They will have good tires because these are simulated Bridgestone tires, and those Bridgestone tires have a life range of a wreck.
Look at this battle. Newton gets it on Fenolosa. Fenolosa not done. He's going to go. They are Cialis bathtubs now down into Blanchimont. Again, look at the Fenolosa trying to find a way. Now he's going to try to the outside. Cannot get it done. And all this lets Xavi Ross run away from it.
Yeah, Scott Newton making haywires there, but here comes Carlos Fenolosa once again. No, does not. Scott Newton overshooting turn 1 a little bit there. It's not too much of a problem because La Source is quite cambered on the inside, so he retains his momentum and continues to lead that P4 battle. But here comes Fenolosa once again.
Oh, this one is done and dusted. They pull alongside. Newton trying to ease his way over to get a run into Lacombe, and he hangs in there. They'll go side by side through there. They do not touch. Nice racing. Nice trust from both those guys. The pass is made. Scott very much still in the hunt, though. What this has allowed, though, is Xavi Ross to pull away from these guys. They came out nose to tail out of the pit stop, but now Ross pulling away, trying to run down San Filippo. That interval, Steph, only 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, and wait, did I miss something, or did Seeger have a problem? Oh no, Seeger did pit, that's why I'm seeing him leading.
Yeah.
Alright, sorry, that is my timing didn't catch up, but yeah, Antonio Ortiz Poveda still leading. Let's see if he pits this time. Surely he has to pit this time. Fingers crossed he doesn't prove me wrong. Into second last turn, and there he goes into pit lane.
If I can read my notes right, I think we're gonna... Oh, and he got a piece of it. We'll go on board with Poveda.
Antonio Ortiz Poveda, they're testing how hard the concrete is, and sure enough, it's harder than his carbon fiber race car.
There he's here.
Bam, she goes.
Now, as I continue to look at my timing and scoring here, as he starts to come out, Seegers comes out in 6th position with Danilo San Filippo behind him. But he lost touch with Noel. So Noel now back into 9th.
Danilo San Filippo actually lost out to Antonio Ortiz Poveda, once again proving the overcut is OP in these cars. Poveda not able to do anything though because of his lack of speed that he gets out of the pit lane. Thomas Knoll too far away from Poveda, so he will retain his, that should be 8th position if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
So nice little battle there for 7th of San Filippo. Danilo San Filippo in 7th. Poveda and Noel. Your front 3 right now. Usher, Marco San Filippo, and Xavi Ross. That's all happening in front of what we're looking at right here. Fenolosa and Newton. This one is really fun to watch. They continue to battle for that 4th position.
Scott Newton, the Aussie driver. Well, let's see what he can do. Carlos Fenolosa racing out of the area, if you are interested in that. So, a continental war here going on. Europe versus Australia.
Can we get a replay on David Cudmore just a few seconds ago? He almost got into a car that was parked. It was Ostertag. Cudmore was in a battle with Hung. These guys were really fighting it. Took my breath away as I was watching. Watch, it'll be coming up here in just a second. The car that you'll see parked is Ostertag, and these guys do a good job.
Yeah, I just saw that myself. It's gonna happen out of turn 9, so we have a little bit of ways to go. Here they go now into Brussels.
This is a battle. Yeah. We've been walking this battle for a long time. These guys are close. There they are.
Yeah, what comes on top of that, Dennis Ostertag not really holding his brakes either. So then David Cudmore really having problems with spotting where that car is going to go.
Live. Let's come. Oh, when we get there, good to do that. When we come back live, let's look at 7th position as Poveda now has pulled up behind Danilo Sanfilippo. Things starting to heat up here in Spa. This final round, batteries not included. Right now, Xavi Ross sitting in third, but looking good for that championship. Look at this battle, though. Here comes Poveda.
Things on the track heat up while the track itself cools down to 99 Fahrenheit, so we lost 2 Fahrenheit since the start of this broadcast. And Danilo Sanfilippo under a lot of pressure there from Antonio Ortiz Poveda. So we might see something happening here into chicane, maybe through Blanchiment. We will have to see if something will develop in this lap, or if it will wait until they go up to Leclerc.
Things are starting to heat up. We keep an eye on this battle. Drivers starting to pair off now. Here it comes.
Danilo Sanfilippo did a lift there, letting Antonio Ortiz Poveda by. No counterattack into chicane, so Antonio Ortiz Poveda up to 7th place.
It won't be long. We talked about Sanfilippo racing by himself, Danilo by himself early on in the race. That's not the case now. Poveda gets by him, and here comes Thomas Noel.
Oh, and actually we have a battle for P2 after Marcus Sanfilippo made a mistake, and Xavi Ross is now on the back of Marcus Sanfilippo. What is he doing?
Oh! He's doing a little dance behind him there. Hello! And he goes around the outside. My gosh!
Oh, Marco!
From Marco. He gets it saved. He loses positions to Fenolosa and Newton. Brings it back out now in front of Ziegler. We'll get the replay. Here we go.
Now, I wonder if that mistake was a little bit of a consequence by the weird moves of Xavi Ross behind him. Marcus Sanfilippo on the throttle loses it. Go ahead.
He'll never admit it, but I am going to go with it. Yes, it was. That was some great inside the head driving from Xavi Ross. Now the battle for P3. Fenolosa with Newton now chase him as both of these guys vulture a spot, working on that final podium position after Sanfilippo had that incident. And what that means is it just makes the math all that much easier for Xavi Ross to get the championship. We look back here in 7th position. That is Poveda all by himself.
Lars Hung appears to be in the pit lane out of his car. Oh, he spun it out of the chicane. Hard hit into the wall. And yeah, he was driving so hard he was forced to park that car.
Boy, he had just made that great move around Ostertag. And then this gets him here. So now we look at this when he was racing in a battle with Cudmore coming out. Boy,
there he goes. And there she goes. Hard hit onto the rear. And that is his race. Sadly done for today and also for the season. As already mentioned, this is the last round of the Batteries Not Included Championship.
Could I just be any more wrong this race as I talk about how Hung never makes a mistake and he doesn't? God. All right, Newton has got the pass made on Fenolosa. We'll take a look at this one.
Yeah, only on one of two possible realistic overtaking chances into Lecombe side by side down Camel Street. And then a great maneuver by Scott Newton there to take away the 3rd place from Carlos Fenolosa and moving himself up onto the podium.
Okay, so let's catch our breath here. Mark Usher is our leader, and he's comfortably out in front by 9 seconds. He just got around the car of Alan Stover, who's a lap down, racing in 16th. First car 1 lap down. Let me go back and look at our driver in 2nd now. It's Xavi Ross. He's got about 2 seconds on Scott Newton. Newton is coming. Ross doesn't need to fight with anybody now. The championship is his if he can just get the car anywhere up front. Now the battle for Newton and Fenolosa. This thing is long from over. they've swapped positions multiple times.
Yeah, I think the real question there is between Newton and Fenolosa is, can Fenolosa stay with Newton? Because Newton seemed to be always the fastest driver, just not able to make a move happen. So yeah, Fenolosa will have to remain and see if Fenolosa able to stay with him or if he starts to drop away.
With Hung having an incident, the battle with Cudmore has gone away, but can we go to 10th position real quick? Because here he comes. I am Keeman. That's always fast and always well back in the pack is I am Keeman. Won't be long till he runs down David Cudmore. We ride on board with Keeman in the fluorescent blue machine.
I am Keyman and he is David Cudmore, the green car versus the blue car. Keyman not able to come up yet, but he is steadily about half a second faster per lap than David Cudmore, so he is going to be in no time under the rear wing of David Cudmore.
Be a while before that happens, but it's nice to give I am Keeman a little love. Another driver on the move is in 8th position. Thomas Knoll and Pavetta. Antonio got relegated down the orders, worked his way back up into 7th. Knoll, for much of this race, was in a battle with Seeger. Knoll's beginning to come in here. I think he's going to get Pavetta here in a minute. Riding, looking back at Knoll. The final round, we got 6 laps to go.
And a quick update on Scott Newton. After getting past Carlos Fenolosa, he was already faster by 1/10, and he is closing in on Xavier, who also made a mistake last lap around, losing a full second, bringing himself back into the grasp of Scott Newton, so he might have a battle starting to develop for that second position.
And look at that now as they come up on behind Alan Stover. The back marker, Stover in 16th position, again the leader of all the cars, 1 lap down. Let's see what Alan does there. Leaves the inside open. Doing a good job. This is a tough place to get caught. A bit of a lift. Nice job. Well done. Fenolosa gets around him as well. We look at Xavi Ross now. Xavi does not need to play around with Newton. He really doesn't. He can just give this spot up.
No racer gives up a spot just like that.
Tell him to give it up. They go around the car of Dennis Ostertag still out there. Let's stay on this one. Newton looking to get around Ross right now. This one has championship consequences if something were to go wrong. The attrition has not been big enough as there are still 17 drivers racing out there right now. If something were to happen to Ross, it would be the end of his championship as well.
Look at the run Scott Newton got there through Rouge and Radillon up on the hill, coming up to the highest point of this racing circuit. Scott Newton goes to the outside, does lift though, and stays behind Xavier Ross for another lap.
Xavi, give it up, baby! He wants to race, he does. You said it, it's the racer in him. And as there, not only this though, Ross, this is going to allow Fenolosa to get in the mix now. This even makes it more dangerous for Ross.
And one thing we missed, I just saw it, it's already 2 laps ago. Danilo Sanfilippo had a hard crash out of turn 9, too much on the throttle on the AstroTurfs and hard into the wall, losing his front wing and completely destroying his steering. So he is out of the race with that mistake.
Boy, the early part of the race for Danilo was so easy and just nondescript. He was out there racing by himself. As soon as he got into traffic, things went south for him. Here they come. Ross, Newton, and Fenolosa. Ross now opens up a bit of a gap to go down into the bus stop. These guys are working lap 25. This will be lap 26 as they come across the line right now. And let's tell you where that finish line is. It's right there. Steph, I've done a ton of these races here in the MX-5, and there is plenty of time coming out of the bus stop for a drive down to the finish line. How about in these really fast cars? Is there any way to get there from the bus stop to the finish line, do you think?
Not really, no, because the run is too short for these cars to make anything. But here comes Scott Newton. That run wasn't short enough for him. Goes to the outside, side by side. They go into the braking zone for Lecombe. And Cyrus once again better on the brakes. But speaking about brakes, that's where we want to be in the last lap, last turn. You want to make your move happen on the brakes, maybe even on the outside, because you have then the inside of the last turn and thus the shorter line to the finish line. But yeah, that's realistically your last chance move. There's no move done on the acceleration zone to the finish line.
Friends, families, and fans of Xavi Ross right now are looking for any type of connection they can get to him, be it phone, text, tapping him on the shoulder, telling him, be careful, this is your championship that you're playing around with here. These positions do not matter. Marco Sanfilippo is in 5th. He cannot catch you if he's not ahead of you. Now look at this. Here comes Fenolosa now working on the back of Newton. Newton really takes it in deep. Oh, I thought he was going to get it into the back of Ross, and that blowing it up cost him the position. Give him an A for effort, but a C- for execution. Go ahead.
I have to say, Carlos Fenolosa, I'm sort of surprised that he's actually able to stay with Scott Newton and Xavi Ross after Scott Newton got past him, because it really looked like Carlos Fenolosa was the bottleneck in the speed for Scott Newton. But in reality, they're pretty much on the same speed. And here comes Scott Newton once again, run the outside of the Camel Straight, a little bit on the grass there on the left side, but he is able to make that move happen way before the braking zone goes out to the right, as Fenolosa tucks into the draft side by side to go through Lecombe, staying side by side here, still turn 8 now, sorry, turn 7, and now into Brussels they go, and Scott Newton finally getting back his 4th place.
Oh, that's some fun racing. This is good news for Ross, though. He's able to drive away while these guys are dancing. Going off into the AstroTurf, there's Fenolosa, but he keeps it going straight. He loses a little touch with Newton. Yeah, we thought the blue car Noel would get there, and he's now run down Pavetta.
Yeah,
I had that wrong. Yeah,
Pavetta just passed Noel down the Camel Straight. Noel tried to defend, but to no avail. And there we see it now on the replay. A little bit too late on the replay, because Pavetta is already past. It happened into Lecombe. Perfect execution on the brakes by Pavetta. And Scott Newton is now under attack once again from Carlos Fenolosa into a last chicane. Not able to do anything though, but 2 laps to go. This is gonna go down in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we look at that battle. All this going on behind Mark Usher. 2 to go. Oh, look at this. How's that going to play out? And the pass is made.
A little bit too late on the binders there for Fenolosa, but he was able to make the apex is good enough. But there's a twitch on the brakes. Not able to capitalize is Scott Newton. So Fenolosa stays in 3rd place, and the guy that's all smiles about that is Xavi Ross up ahead.
Those guys putting on a show. That battle going on, and the other one we're looking at is we'll keep an eye on Pavetta and Noel in a battle as they fight for 7th. That's one not nearly as close as this one.
Yeah. And
remember we talked about I Am Keeman? Go ahead.
yeah, quickly down to David Cutmore versus I'm Keeman, that 9th place battle between the twos. And I'm Keeman, we talked about it. He is there now, and he looks racy, wanting to get that 9th place away from David Cutmore.
So we have that battle to watch. We have the Fenalosa-Newton battle.
We also have the battle for P7, where Thomas Knoll was able to get back his position from Poveda. So they are also super close. So 3 battles to watch for the race here. Poveda actually now on the outside of the chicane. Will he be able to retain that position once again? No, he will not. Thomas Knoll defends, or does he on the outside? Drag race.
That's what you might see at the end. Knoll with credit leading that lap will be in the preferred position as they go through La Source. Look for the over-under here from Poveda. He doesn't get it done, but he's right on the gearbox. He's in great position if he wants to make the pass. These guys are working the last time through. Mark Usher has already taken the white flag. He is working through Puhan right now, about half a lap to go. Here comes the pass.
Or does it come as Thomas Knoll stays on the inside on the brakes better than Poveda and once again retains his 7th place, but better line for Poveda now into Brussels. Oh, they nearly touched there. That was a squeeze and a half by Thomas Knoll, but Poveda was able to get out of that one, and he is going to look to take that one away in the last few corners of this race.
We'll be able to come back and look at that one before they get to the end. The other battle is Fenalosa, who is comfortably ahead of Newton. Don't think he's going to have anything to do on this one. Meanwhile, coming out of the bus stop, heading towards the finish line, retaining his undefeated status as Mark Usher gets the win. Xavi Ross is going to come home in 2nd, and we think with that comes the championship. Fenalosa is going to get 3rd. Newton is going to get 4th. Let's go back and look at the battle between Poveda.
Which isn't a battle anymore because Poveda made a big mistake through Club Corner, and Poveda thus only is going to finish in 8th place today, with Thomas Knoll taking home his 7th place in his blue car.
Ahead of them was Marco Sanfilippo and Thomas Seeger, the 2 drivers who were in the championship hunt. They did a nice attempt, but when it was all said and done, Xavi Ross's 2nd position should be enough for the Spaniard to get the championship, as Mark Usher remains undefeated in this season. All right, the racing is over. Our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate for the final time. Back in a few. You're watching GSRC on IESN.
I can still remember what it was like the first time I stepped into a race car. The sound of the engine, the anticipation, but I never could have imagined where this journey would take me. My father once told me that racing is just like life. You have to stay on your toes, because you never know what's around the next corner. Bill Watson, and this is my story.
Streaming cyberspace into your place via the iRacing Esports Network from Spa. It's the Global SimRacing Channel's final round coverage of the Batteries Not Included 2019 Spring Season Championship. The results are in. We can tell you the winner of the race, and we can tell you the champion as well. Mark Usher did not race in enough races to be in the championship hunt, but when he did race, he was perfect, undefeated this season. He picks up win. Xavi Ross took our breath away a little bit as he was in a battle with Carlos Fenolosa and Scott Newton at the end. Nevertheless, the Spaniard comes home in second, and that is enough to give Xavi Ross the 2019 Spring Season Championship. Carlos Fenolosa gets the final podium spot ahead of the Aussie Scott Newton. Marco Sanfilippo and Thomas Seeger go 5th and 6th. They were ahead of Ross in the, if you want to take the best of 8, but we knew that Ross was in the best position to win this one when you take into account drop races. Seeger and Sanfilippo and Seeger go 5th and 6th. Thomas Knoll gets 7th. Antonio Poveda in 8th. Then there was the battle that we looked at. We were watching I.M. Keeman and David Cudmore. Cudmore made a mistake. That's why Keeman gets the best of that in 9th with Cudmore behind him. Stefan?
Michel Ussel from 19th, not putting in a qualifying lap, up to 11th. He takes his 16 car. Mark Assenheimer, last car on the lead lap, from 14th to 12th with his number 15. Cleo Potaro Moura, the Brazilian driver, first car, 1 lap down in 13th. Eugenio Masser, 14th. Alan Stover, 15th. Dennis Ostertag, 3 laps down in 16th. Danilo Sanfilippo, first car not to finish today's race after hitting the wall very hard out of the last chicane. Lars Hang, 18th. Jan Steltenpool takes home 19th, and 20th goes to Estiverson Oliveira.
And now we have the honor and opportunity to talk to our driver who finished in second, and I believe the championship. Let me dust off a little bit of my high school Spanish. Xavi Ross, ¿dónde vas con tanta prisa, baby? Nice job.
Wow, what a feeling. Hello, welcome to all. And yes, I think that I made it.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Less than Sanfilippo made a mistake, and that was the key.
Very well done. We were very worried here in the booth, and I think the fans watching, your fans, as you were in a battle with Fenolosa and Newton there at the end, that would have cost you positions and possibly the championship.
Yes, at the end, well, all the race was very close, all the cars in the same second, more or less. But in the end, after the pit stop, I went behind Marco faster and faster, and I make him a little bit nervous, and I overtake him. So, but later I relaxed a bit, and the guys from behind were catching me lap after lap. But I can defend it. So here I am.
We saw that indeed. You were making that Williams dance behind Fenolosa there as you were behind him.
The feeling is.
It was a good race. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you pronounce your first name? We've been saying Xavi the whole season. Do I have that right?
It's okay. In Spain we call it Xavi.
Oh, let's go with that. We'll go with Xavi.
Xavi and Xavi are too close.
And the last name?
Ross.
Okay, we got Xavi Ross, your champion this season. Congratulations. Good job. Hope to see you next time. Okay, good job.
Yes, I will come to defend it.
That's a good one. That was a fun interview. Yeah, I like Xavi Ross. That's great. All right, Steph, who you got?
Next up is the not Aussie of... No, wait, he's here. He's already here. I'm sorry. Scott Newton, the Aussie driver. Scott, yeah, I don't know. Is it kind of disappointing being so close to Xavi Ross and then only finishing fourth place?
Yeah, hi, Stefan. Tough one to say, really, because of the fact that it's been a long time since I've been in an official race in this car, let alone gain iRating in this car. So, to come back, Spa's always been a tricky track for me. I knew that to get the banker lap in qualifying was around my pace, but yeah, to see what the other guys did, I was probably running a little bit too much downforce, and a few other things that I need to take into next season, provided that at the start of the season, at the start of this season, we were talking about it, the time slot moving to the odd hour, and then this being the same time as the league batteries not included. So that's why I hadn't turned up for most of the season, with other commitments as well. But yeah, I knew that I saw that Javi and was it Marco was they pulled a probably 2-3 second gap within the first 5 or 10 laps, and I knew it was going to be tough. But through the middle of the race, I knew that with the downforce that I had, at least I could keep pace with Carlos through the middle part. And I was a bit annoyed that I couldn't jump in with the pits, but obviously, as I mentioned, with the downforce, like there was nothing I could really do through Eau Rouge over the top of Radion. They'd just overtake me again. So to finish fourth, limited practice, and the guys that have stepped up as well, the level's been raised. So pretty happy to say the least.
Yeah, and one thing we have to say, you mentioned it before the race, you're after 10 weeks coming in once again, a little bit rusty, but honestly, I would say being rusty and still finishing in 4th place is a very good result in the end. Yeah,
absolutely. It's not always easy trying to get to these types of races. 10 p.m. on a Sunday night for me. Thankfully, tomorrow is a public holiday where I live, so I've got tomorrow off, so at least I could turn up and at least show my appreciation for all the guys that got this series converted back into an official series, and obviously to other broadcasters as well.
Now you got me interested. What holiday?
Yeah, it's a good question. I want to know that too. Way to go.
Oh, it's just what they call West Australia Day, so it's just like a Labor Day public holiday. So,
all right. Well, Scott, will you try to come back next season?
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely try my best to make each and every race. If the races are on a Saturday, that will be my target. Try and get it in my 8 races. But if it's on a Sunday, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I'm sure there will be a little bit of a discussion over the forums during the week 13 and up to week 1. So I'm sure that they'll try and sort something out for sure.
All right, well, we will have our fingers crossed for you to come back to the season and maybe start sprinkling the little bit more excitement into the podium races as we saw here today. Either way, Scott, thank you so very much for talking to us here today, and congrats on your 4th place.
Yeah, no, it's just us, Stefan.
That was Scott Newton, your 4th place finisher of today, and Soup is now going to talk to Antonio Ortiz Poveda.
Got it. Steph and I separated by several decades in age and on the other side of the globe, so we both wanted to know what was the holiday in Australia. Hey, here's a guy that always puts on a good show. We get to talk to Antonio Poveda. Antonio, great job off the starting grid. You picked up a few positions, but then then things went.
Yeah, it was really fun race. I mean, not how I expected, but I saw when going to Eau Rouge, the start was pretty good. I saw Thomas now losing the car in Eau Rouge, so I had to cut it through. Otherwise, I was scared of crashing into him. So I was last because of the slowdown, and the first laps is eternal, it's forever. And I had to be the start from I think it was 15th after the first lap. But yeah, it was really fun race. Great duel with Thomas at the end, one of the best duels I've ever had. And yeah, it was great fun. And well, I'm pretty happy to see that my teammate Xavi is champion. We both won championships for our team, as I won the other Global Series of iRacing. So we're all pretty happy in the end.
Is that one locked up? You confident with those few days left in the week you are good to go on that championship then in iRacing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I won the race yesterday, so I already had one today. So today was just racing for fun, and that's it. Because I had 243 points in the lead, so unless there was a speed of 6,000 of iRating, it was impossible for anything to happen. And yeah, there's no splits on Monday. This is the last one, so yeah, pretty happy about that.
Well, congratulations. You got a couple wins this season over here. It was always fun to watch a race. Good on the interviews. We look forward to seeing you again when we come back next season.
Thanks a lot, and thank you for your commentaries and everything. You're great watching the races, repeated after racing them are great. So thank you for your job.
If you want something really fun, try watching them while you race. I don't know if that really is.
Yeah, that's complicated.
Okay. All right. Congratulations, man. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
AOP, your 8th place finisher today, Antonio Ortiz Poveda. That's going to do it for us here at the Global Sim Racing Channel for the final time this season. Let's thank the people that make this possible by starting with all the people in the Williams forum community there, and especially Clayton McLeod for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it on screen now. Just some of the companies that provide the software and hardware GSRC uses to bring cyberspace into your place. Additional thanks to Juno Lon, who gives us our wonderful music, See the Screen, to how to get a hold of more of her great work. This concludes GSRC's coverage of the 2019 Batteries Not Included Spring Season Championship. We hope you enjoyed watching this season as much as we enjoyed streaming it to you. Rest assured, if asked, GSRC will be back to bring you next season's action. To find out more on when that will happen, why don't you do this? Go to globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media at Twitter, GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. All of the upcoming races on our other series are listed on the screen right now, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar so you don't miss a second of exciting racing action. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that red button. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Steph, Sean, and Dougie, like to thank all of you for watching as we watched Mark Usher win yet again. But the big news is Xavi Ross wins the final round, or comes home in second and wins the championship here at Spa. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.